morning to everybody. The Right Honorable, the Chief Minister of Sarawak, Dato Dr. Abdurrahman Johari Bintun, Dato Aman Haji Openg, the ministers, honorable ministers, honorable Tan Sri Dato Ama Moshidi Ghani, the State Secretary, Assistant Ministers, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Aziz Hussain, the Chairman of Sarawak Skill Development Center, Yang Berbahagia Saudara Halman Sapri, who is the CEO of CNS, BPKS, respected speakers, presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. First of all, on behalf of my ministry and also the organizers, I would like to say thank you very much to the Chief Minister for his presence today and to deliver the keynote address. I also would like to extend our warm welcome to those from outside the state and all those speakers, presenters and participants to this symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, like any other developing countries, we in Sarawak do also realize that in order to fulfill our aspirations and achieving a high income and advanced economy, we need to improve our human capital base. So as we mentioned by Tan Sri just now, we do need to shift our focus not only for the academic degrees, but also to the skill training. And that is the reason why we now begin to focus more on TVET, because this is where the job opportunities are going to be, and not just solely for the academic graduates. So ladies and gentlemen, there was a study conducted by PUC, Consulting Associates for the Institute of Labor Market Information and Analysis in 2017. And this study identified 15 major challenges to the development of TVET in Malaysia. But I would like just to focus on 4 of those 15 challenges. And I hope that the symposium will try to address all these challenges. The first one is TVET have actually been perceived as a last resort education by students and parents. For the past few decades, TVETs actually have been for those drops out. In the 1960s, 1970s, when we had Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 in Form 3, it's only those who obtained Division 3 were sent for vocationals. And those who obtained Division 1 and Division 2 would proceed to continue their studies in upper secondary. So since then, parents and students have the perception that TVET or vocational education is not for the high achievers, but for those drops out. So TVET has always suffered a negative stigma that it is mainly for students with average or below average academic capabilities. As such, very few parents want their children to do TVET and tend to instead put pressure on the children to go for university degrees, that is academic qualifications. So these parents are probably more concerned about the social status of being able to report to their peer parents that their children are going to become doctors, become lawyers, accountants, engineers, and the like, but not to become TVET graduates. So, ladies and gentlemen, both parents and prospective students have a very poor regard for TVET in the past. But I'm happy to note that of late, the response and the perception actually have changed. So that's why today, ladies and gentlemen, actually my ministry last year wanted to have a road show throughout Sarawak to promote TVET to the parents and also to the students, so that not only those who obtain poor grades in their schools would apply for TVET, but the high achievers will do it. But when I met all the directors of TVET institutions and vocationals, I was told that almost all our institutions are already packed to capacity. So there is a change. So ladies and gentlemen, as a response to the finding, the first finding just now, our program in the ministry is trying to make TVET as an equally attractive career development pathway. We work together with other agencies and also NGOs that are set by the government, and to promote TVET, especially the community and school leaders in the rural areas. So one major program is to organize annually, whether in the school, in the divisions, or in the district, that TVET has a lot of potentials for school leaders. The second one that was highlighted by the study just now, which I mentioned, is poor and inconsistent quality of TVET graduates. That is not from me, it is from the study. So I am here just to quote the study. So most industry players have raised concerns about the quality of TVET graduates with respect to their technical proficiency, soft skills, and work attitude. Quality of TVET graduates from similar programs may vary drastically by institution, creating confusion on the true value of TVET qualifications. So for this, ladies and gentlemen, there is a need to correct this, because as long as the industries don't have the confidence in employing our TVET graduates, then finally they may be unemployed after they finish the institution. So I would like to urge the Symposium to look into this so that there be a consistent in terms of quality, in terms of their capability and attitude toward TVET. And secondly, ladies and gentlemen, we must realize that the medium of instruction in Malaysia is Bahasa Malaysia. So the same applies to a lot of these TVET institutions are also using medium of instruction Bahasa Malaysia. But when they go out to the industries and they ask to work, first, most of the manuals for the machines are written in English. So I would like to urge those TVET institutions, there is a need for us to actually make our boys and girls who are at the TVET institution to be proficient and at least be able to read the manuals in English. So we hope that this symposium will try to dwell on that, because if we don't do, then our TVET, because at the moment there are some cases where first they reported for duty, the second day they started to work, and the third day they couldn't read the manuals and finally decided to leave. Of course, it's a very, very rare case, but we hope that there is no such case will happen in the future. Because as we have stressed, and the Chief Minister of Sarawak, our Right Honourable, have been focusing on English, because English is no longer just the language for science, language for commerce. I think for us today is a language for survival, in order for us to compete with the rest of the world. The third drawbacks of TVET is over-reliance on government funding. Up to today, almost 100% of the TVET are run by government. Whereas in certain countries, they actually collaborate and share the cost with the industries. A year ago, I led a delegation to Germany, and probably that is a good example where those who are pursuing engineering courses, technical courses, ITs and all this, they are not recruited by the industry, by the universities, but they are recruited by the industries. And they stay 3 days in the industries and 2 days in universities for the whole 4-5-year course. But they are paid €1,000 per student per month by the industries. So we are trying to do that here, but unfortunately, most of our industries are still very, very small. So it's not possible to follow the model that is already applied in Germany. However, we try to do that on a small way. That is, we get some of these industries to collaborate, and Mr. Hammond has already started it. Get the industries to collaborate, and not so much in terms of the amount of money, but in terms of providing the staff and expertise and technical expertise to the student. so that the student, when they leave the institution, will be hands-on like those in Germany. And the third and the fourth one, which is highlighted by the study, is that these TVET graduates receive very low starting pay. I think this is quite common, but a lot of our TVET graduates, when they get the employment, they expected probably 1,500, 2,000, just like the counterpart who got the academic degree. So this is a very common complaint by the industries and also by the student. The student said the salary is too low. The industry said we cannot afford to pay you because we have to see what is your contribution, how capable are you. So these need to be addressed. And secondly, I've said it, I think 2 or 3 times, most of our TVET graduates probably very dependent on the private sectors. But there are a lot of them who like to go for the public sectors. But the public sector's salary for TVET, because they are either certificate holders or diploma holders, and it's very, very low. Whereas the counterparts who get academic degree will start with 2,000 or even more. There is a grade in Malaysia, N41 or DG41 and all these 41. Whereas the TVETs will start with N29, N32, that is very much lower. And they cannot go for N41. So I think there is a need for the government to look into this, so that TVET graduates, even though they start with N29 or N32, they should be given an opportunity to go to N41 and thereafter. So, Yang Hormat Ketua Menteri, I think this is an issue, especially for booming students from the rural areas, because a lot of them would like to work with the government. So this again, I would like to throw into the symposium how to work on these salary scales for TVET diploma holders and certificate, so that to make TVET institution will be more and more attractive. Because if we look at the 4.0 as mentioned by Kansi just now, I think this is where the jobs are going to be. Although the 4.0 may cause a lot of disruption, but it can be a creative disruption. So if we are prepared for it, I believe it is not going to be a disruptive disruption, but it's going to be a creative disruption, provided we are prepared for it. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to urge the participants of this symposium to look into that 4 areas, because this will be the one that will make TVET as an institution, or the diplomas in TVET, certificate in TVET, will be more and more attractive. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you to Yang Hormat Ketua Menteri, all the ministers, all the presenters, all the speakers, and the participants who make this symposium a reality.